and what it takes to win. And I was able, in that campaign, to be able to talk to voters about what they cared about. And you will be shocked to know that even in the 2-to-1 Republican district, they cared about a lot of the same things that you might have cared about. That Democrats, rank and file Democrats cared about. They wanted to get out of Iraq. It was the #1 issue. They were so angry about the Iraq war, they were protesting outside of federal office buildings. The other thing they were really worried about was health care. They couldn't afford it. Insurance companies kept raising the rates, kept charging them too much in the co-pays, charging them too much in deductibles. And so we talked about, well, how would you feel about Medicare for all? How would you feel about, buying into Medicare at a price you could afford? How would you feel about 5% of income, something like that that's always affordable? So you have at least one not-for-profit public option. And you know what that district told me was, yes, we love that idea. And I believe that that's a lot of the reason why people all across America are frustrated. After the election, my state was red. It was a lot red like your state. I didn't understand. I didn't understand how that could have happened. So I traveled all around the state and asked people, what was going on in your life? Why are you so angry? Why did you vote for Trump? I didn't actually say those words because that would be inappropriate. But in my brain, I'm thinking, why did you vote for Trump? But I said, what's going on in your life? Tell me. And so what they told me was a lot of what I've heard about. People feel left behind. They feel like no one's been fighting for them. They feel like Democrats hadn't been fighting for them for a long time. The fact that so many union members voted for a Republican really is absurd and outrageous, and particularly this one. But they felt like they were left behind, that nobody was fighting for workers or that wanted to reward work in this country anymore. And so they voted with their feet. They just said, I'm not doing it. And President Trump, if you remember, he actually ran on a couple things. He ran on the system's rigged. That's Liz Warren's message. He ran on no bad trade deals. That's Bernie Sanders' message. And then he said his own racist message, that dog whistle, build a wall. Because whatever your problems are, that is what's causing your problems. Well, that was the nasty, divisive, racist message. But those first two messages were Democratic messages. And those were core values that the Democratic Party has fought for a long time. But you know what? The voters didn't believe it anymore. And so what we need right now are people who are going to fight. And I'm running for president because I will fight for your kids as hard as I fight for my own. And what that means... I am a mom with kids, young kids. And when I hear a constituent's story about their life, imagine that's happening to my own family. And it breaks my heart. My first endorsement is from this amazing woman right here. Because if I had a trans child, I would want to fight for them. They deserve every bit of protection and every bit of opportunity that every other child in America deserves. And so if you really see the world in that way, if you really want to treat others the way you want to be treated, if you really believe in the golden rule, that's why you care about health care as a right and not a privilege. Because everybody deserves to have basic health care to protect their families, to protect themselves, to live. It's why we care about better public schools. It's why we want every child, no matter what block they grow up on, to have that chance to earn their way into the middle class, have a slice of the American dream someday, but to get ahead and to have the next generation be better than this generation. I just sat down with a bunch of union leaders. This state, you've had a challenge. You've had a local legislature and a governor who keeps making it harder to unionize, to organize, to collectively bargain, which just means elevating your voice as a worker, as an employee, to be heard, to have fair wages, to have fair benefits, to have fair opportunity, equal pay for equal work. How about affordable daycare, universal pre-K, and a national paid leave plan? Care about one another. That is why you care about those issues. That is why you fight for other people's kids as hard as you would fight for your own. It is what is in us, but it is the American story. Now, the problem we have right now that makes every bit of that impossible is that all the levers of power are controlled by those powerful few. It is controlled by these systems of power of money and greed that dominate everything. Take any issue you care about. If you want to end gun violence in this country, well, you better take on the NRA, because they speak only for gun manufacturers. They speak only for corporate greed. They speak only for the bottom line. They do not care about the safety and well-being of our communities or our families or our schools. And not a privilege, you have to take on the insurance industry. They only care about their quarterly profits. They're a for-profit company. They have shareholder requirements. They've got corporate law. They've got to pay that CEO millions of dollars. So they're not interested in your health. They're not interested in making sure if you need that second day in the hospital you can have it, or that medicine, or that treatment. They're interested in shareholder value. So if you want health care as a right, not a privilege, you have to take on the insurance companies. If you're on Medicare and you want affordable drug prices, well, they wrote it into law. They wrote it in the dead of night, very specifically to make sure that Medicare couldn't buy in bulk, to make sure that those drug manufacturers could continue to make record profits year after year, quarter after quarter. So if you want affordable prescription drugs, you better be willing to take on the drug companies. And the truth of all of this, works, the way Washington works, is the money in politics is corrupting. It controls everything. The biggest special interests in the country, they hire lobbyists. They talk about the issue as if it's really important to your community. They will talk about issues in a way to say that this is what's necessary. They funnel money into the campaigns of these members of Congress. And laws are written in the dead of night by these powerful interests. Because they can. And that's the way things have worked for a very long time. A very long time. So if you believe in open government, if you believe in direct democracy, if you believe in restoring the power of this democracy into the hands of the people, you've got to take on the whole system. And you have to get money out of politics. And that's why, as a very small first step, I'm not taking corporate PAC money. And I don't believe that people should have. I'm not taking corporate PAC money. I'm not taking federal lobbyist money. I don't believe people should have individual super PACs. Because all that does is give more power to the most powerful people in the world. It's all it does. And they know how to use that power well. That's how it's been used for a long time. And so if you want to restore democracy to the people, you got to take that on. And that's something I can't do by myself, but I could do it with you. I could do it with all of you. And if the American public wants to fight for this democracy, they can do it. So it's more than just a campaign, it's actually a call to action. It is an opportunity for all of us to fight for what we believe in, to fight with all our hearts, with all our souls. And I believe that I have the courage to do this. I believe that I have the determination to do this. I believe that I have the compassion to do this. And it takes a fearlessness to take on any battle, no matter how small, no matter how big, no matter if it's politically convenient, no matter if it's easy. You have to take on these battles because they're hard. If you don't, we won't recognize this country. I think what President Trump has done is he has tried to divide us on every racial line, every religious line, every socioeconomic line, every cultural line, and he's doing it purposefully. He is spreading a darkness across America that is just destroying and ripping apart the very fabric of our country. When we don't care about one another, when you don't care about your neighbor, when you are afraid of your neighbor, when you want to build a wall, when you want to divide a mother from her child, you are destroying the decency, the basic moral, common decency that this country has always believed in. And that is wrong. And we have to stand up against it. So please join me in this campaign. I want this to be a people-driven campaign about our values, about our hearts, about what we believe in, about what we are willing to fight for. And I will fight for your child as hard as I would fight for my own. That is why am I running. That is why I believe this campaign has to be very different. It has to be about who we are as Americans and what we're willing to fight for. Thank you so much for coming out here.
I live in Clive, and I volunteer with Save the Children Action Network.
I love Save the Children.
Thank you. We do a lot of work, and one of the things as a mother too that I want to know is how you can help the 41% of Iowans that don't have access to quality childcare, and what you would do as president to help with that.
So one of the reasons why our economy is largely held back is we don't necessarily care about 51% of the population or caregivers in this country. And so one of the challenges we have is that we need affordable daycare. We need affordable universal daycare so that young kids, no matter where you grow up, no matter your socioeconomic background, no matter your block, can get access to early childhood education. And the simplicity of this is so clear. For every dollar you put into early childhood education, you get about $11 back in the ability of that child to succeed over their lifetime. So it is the greatest investment you can make because that money goes to extraordinary lengths to help that child succeed. And so we should be caring about affordable daycare. We should actually care about universal pre-K. Because if you have universal pre-K, not only does it give that child access to early childhood education and access to books and numbers at a very young age, it gives that mom and dad or those parents a chance to be in the workforce that entire year. And one of the challenges we have for caregivers in the workplace or women in the workplace is that oftentimes they don't have the support they need to reach their full potential. And one of the challenges is if you don't have affordable daycare or pre-K, and you don't have paid leave, and you don't have sick days and vacation days, well, you're going to find informal care. And when you find informal care, if your caregiver gets sick, you're going to miss work. If you don't have sick days or vacation days, you will be fired. And what happens to a lot of low-wage workers, particularly women, it's why 2/3 of minimum wage workers are women. What happens to those women is they get stuck on the floor of wages. We call it the sticky floor. They can never get off the sticky floor because every time there's a family emergency and have to start over, they start over at the bottom rung. They can never actually earn more than the minimum wage or a low-wage job. They cannot earn their way into the middle class, and it harms the U.S. economy. So I care about your kids, and I care about your ability to make sure they are in good early childhood education, and I care that for every parent in America.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I volunteer with several immigrant groups, helping them do paperwork and things. They're very frightened now, obviously, for good reason. What would you do that would be doable to bring both sides together, if there's any way to do it, to fix this immigration issue?
Okay, so I just talked to a woman yesterday from Iowa in a shop. It was a woman-owned small business. And I said, so, you know, I'm running for president, and I'd love to hear your thoughts. She was a Republican, and she said, well, I'm really worried about the border. And she said, I'm really afraid. I said, what are you afraid of? She said, I'm afraid of criminals. I'm afraid of terrorists. So first of all, I'm really angry because that is the division and hate that Donald Trump has created. That woman, that neighbor of yours is afraid. Why should we be afraid in the United States of America of immigrants? We are a country founded by immigrants. Our diversity is always economic growth and opportunity. It's created entrepreneurialism, innovation. That's what the Statue of Liberty stands for. Give us your tired, your hunger. Give us your huddled masses yearning to breathe free. She stands for something. We've never as a nation been afraid of refugees. Why is this president making that poor woman afraid of mothers and children at the border, so afraid that she thinks they need to be separated and put in for-profit prison systems? Why is this president making her afraid? So I wanted to talk to her about that fear she has. And so I said, and the other thing she said be a better process. And I said, well, would you consider something like a comprehensive approach where we deal with all of these challenges together? Because you shouldn't be afraid in America, and we should be making sure criminals do not commit crimes in this country. We should be making sure terrorists do not come from anywhere in the globe. They usually come through an airport, by the way. But you should not be afraid of terrorists. And so we do need to secure our country, make sure we're safe. We do need to make sure that the people who are in charge of rooting out terrorism have their resources. But we do not need to be afraid of women and children and families that are desperate for our help, because that is what the Statue of Liberty stands for, and it's what America stands for. So the truth really is her fear is being created by a president who doesn't care about anyone but himself. Yes. And so we have to push back on this president and on the narrative he has created about fear. And make sure we actually have an asylum system. I would rather put all those functions back to the DOJ, have real immigration judges that are either appointed for life or are elected, not just employees of the Attorney General, so that you can have a process that actually works. Have a pathway to citizenship. Let people buy into our Social Security, buy into our great public schools, buy into our social safety nets, because that's what they want to do. They're part of our communities. And so if you don't recognize these are families, these are people who are fundamental to our communities and our life, that we are wrong. And so we should fight for them, and we should fight for comprehensive reform, because that's what makes America strong.
And we have plenty of space in our small towns.
We have taken many refugee communities in upstate New York, because we do have small towns, small cities that have lost population over the last 100 years. And so in Buffalo or in Rochester and Syracuse, they've taken refugee communities and said, we will welcome you. And those communities, to every single one, have only created growth and opportunity and economic opportunity and innovation. That's what people do who want just a chance to have a slice of what we have here. So we can make that possible, but we have to do it comprehensively.
Hey, Senator, I think we have some questions on the other side.
In the back, yep. Mm-hmm.
Before we do that, can we just really quickly just let Kyla say a quick word while we have the mic here?
Oh, okay.
That was just part of the plan.
Yeah, she wanted.
She wanted to, yeah.
Take it away.
And then we do time to.
So the reason why I am supporting Senator Gillibrand is because I believe that her campaign will be the most ethical, because she's been strongly for supporting supporting against sexual misconduct, and we need to have a campaign for president that has good conduct and doesn't have sexual misconduct on it, and so women and people are safe.
So I'm going to migrate around the barrels. And I didn't even get a beer yet, so honestly, I don't know why you guys aren't letting me have mine, but that's okay. No, I don't want to stand on a chair. That would go badly for me. I'm going to stand over here. Here, if you let me stand there, I can. Oh, maybe I'll try a chair. Should I try a chair? Dangerous? Dangerous? Let's try it. Okay. Can you stay here? What's your name? Randy, I might grab this chair.
Please.
Okay. Right in front.
Senator,
I'll look back here once in a while.
I,
Yes, I got it. We got the barrel.
my wife and I have 3 kids and 7 grandchildren, and I want to know what you're going to do to put us back on the climate change train.
Okay, the question is that this gentleman has 3 grandchildren,
Seven grandchildren.
7 grandchildren,
Three kids.
and 3 children. Okay, and he's very worried about global climate change and what I'm going to do to make sure this country is safe for them. So, I thank you. Randy. So, I think what President Trump has done is immoral. and it's contrary to our story, contrary to the American story. America has always been a beacon of light and hope. We have always been a leader around the globe for what's right, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. And when he stepped away from the global climate accords in Paris, he showed a weakness, a lack of leadership, a lack of vision, a lack of security for all the people who count on us to lead the way. And I think it's outrageous. One of the reasons why I'm running is I want to restore that leadership in the world. I want to restore that decency about what America fights for and why. And global climate change is not only real, but it's threatening lives. It's threatening our country. It's threatening our communities. I know that every state in this country has experienced severe weather and change, real changes in their environment because of global climate change. In New York State, it's really been deadly. We had horrible storms in the last 5 years. We've had Superstorm Sandy, we've had Tropical Storm Lee. Superstorm Sandy killed people. I can't even tell the story, but I met a mom and a dad. The mom was stuck in her SUV, driving to safety. Her husband was working, he was a public servant, he was called into work to deal with Superstorm Sandy. He said, go to your mother's. She got in the SUV with her 2 little boys. Water consumed the car. It was a 10-foot surge. She got out of the car and she lost her kids. That's what happened in New York. I've talked to people all around the country that have lost their loved ones for the same kind of things. People in California just lost their homes to horrible wildfires. Horrible places where they've lost the things they've worked on their whole lives. People are suffering. It is droughts. It is wildfires. It is flooding. It is storms. It is violent storms. And we know the scientists have told us that it's going far faster than we know. And every time the sea level rises, every time there's flooding in places like Florida or in Virginia, governors are saying, this isn't good. What's happening? Well, we know what's happening. Stop denying what's happening. Yeah. And recognize his denial of facts, his denial of science, his denial of what's happening around us that will harm our future, harm our children, harm our grandchildren, harm this country. And we do not have enough money to make people whole. Just be clear. Every time there's a disaster, we pass huge funding bills to help people, to just try a little bit to let them rebuild their homes, their businesses, their communities. There's not enough money in the world to make people whole because of what global climate change does. So we have to lead on this issue. And we have to lead aggressively. And America is the land of innovation. We are the land of possibility. We are the land of can-do. There's nothing America hasn't taken on and actually accomplished when we've set our mind to it. That is the American story. We are fearless. We are determined. We do not give up. And we can build or create anything that we can imagine. That is the American story. So if you told Americans we need to solve global climate change now, I promise you they would respond. It doesn't matter if they live in a red, purple, or blue state. If you tell them this is what we as Americans must accomplish, they would create the technology, the opportunity, the changes that need to take place. We should have a green economy. Why not create a moonshot and say, in the next 10 years, we will create an entire renewable economy based on our innovation, based on what we can do, not because it's easy, but because it's hard, as a measure of our capabilities, exactly what John F. Kennedy asked for us. Not what your country can do for you. That is the request. Grapefruit. Did you know that grapefruit was my favorite? No, you didn't even know it was meant to be. Is it really named grapefruit? It's my fault. Really good. Sorry. It's really good. Okay, next question. tell you what I was gonna do. I just told you why we had to do it. But the what is you put a price on carbon, you incentivize actual investment on renewables and energy efficient technologies, and then you also do all those things to create the infrastructure for a green economy, and we do it in New York. We have a whole SUNY school devoted to teaching kids how to invest in the green economy and participate, build solar panels, build wind turbines, put in LEED certified building materials, put in energy efficient appliances. What I heard when I visited the campus, I don't know if this is true because it's so amazing, they said 97% of their graduating seniors have 3 or more job offers before they graduate. That is the potential of actually making the commitment to a green economy.
So the saying goes, united we stand, divided we fall.
Yes.
And I know when you announced to Stephen Colbert that you said that you were going to try to unite Democrats and Republicans. Easier said than done. Do you have any specifics on how you would do that? Because that's very important.
The question is, united we stand, divided we fall. It's true. And one of the reasons why I'm running is because President Trump has divided us along every line he can imagine, whether it's racial, whether it's religious, whether it's socioeconomic. There's not a line he hasn't created and divided and torn us apart. And the hate and the division he spews into this country is really tearing at the soul of our country. It's actually ripping apart the moral fabric. We always believed in the golden rule as a nation. It's why we have public schools, it's why we have public roads, it's why we have public hospitals. We've always believed that you should treat others the way you want to be treated. That we should care about other people's kids as hard as we care about our own. That is what makes our country different. And so the question of this young woman is, how do you bring Democrats and Republicans together? I believe I can because I do it in my state. I believe I can because I've done it for 12 years. I've been in public service. I work on a bipartisan basis every day. I work with Ted Cruz on ending sexual harassment in Congress. I can work with anybody. In my state, we have a very diverse state. I don't know if you know much about New York, but when most people think of New York, they think of New York City. Well, all of upstate New York, where I'm from, is kind of red. I mean, it's parts are purple, parts are blue, but it's red. Long Island and Westchester is purple. New York City is blue, deep blue. But I talked to everybody. I went to all 62 counties. I did town halls all across the state. I was the only statewide representative ever to do town halls in my state. I did 16 this last 2 years, just to listen. I listened. When I was a member of Congress in my 2-to-1 Republican district, I did Congress on your corner because that was a way I could just go to a flower shop or go to a farm stand or go to a coffee shop and just listen. Go to the grocery store, just listen. Anybody who happened to be shopping could just come up to me and tell me what was on their mind. And I learned about what their concerns were. And that's what I've been doing across my state. I've been listening since the last election about what happened. What actually happened? Why are people so angry? And the truth is, if you listen, you will find common ground. There is something that we share. And I can tell you one thing I know we share. We all love our kids. We all love our kids. And if you start from that shared value, you can build anything. You just have to find what you agree on and build from there. It's how we passed the 9/11 health bill. Because 9/11 first responders, they were the people who raced up the towers after the terrorist attack. Raced up those towers. Some of them died when the towers collapsed. Those who made it out then stayed there looking first for survivors, then trying to find remains. And unfortunately, they breathed in toxins because the EPA told them the air was safe, which it was not. Breathed in the toxins, which was pulverized steel, pulverized glass, pulverized electrical equipment. Breathed it in, digested it, and they started getting horrible cancers. Cancers of the esophagus, cancer of the lungs, cancer of the stomach. It didn't stop. And these were men and women in their 40s and 50s. More firefighters died after 9/11 because of 9/11 than on 9/11. And so I went to Congress, I listened to these first responders, I took their stories, I lifted them up. We went together, the first responders knocked on every door, some with oxygen tanks, some with wheelchairs, to tell their story about we answered the call of duty. We just want you to stand by us in this moment of our desperate need, because they didn't have health care. They were going bankrupt. Their whatever benefits they had from their unions were fully expired. They were literally dying for their service. And they said, please protect us. And we did. And because of that advocacy, we brought Congress together. We brought the country together. We passed the bill unanimously. We passed it again 5 years later unanimously. And so that's what it takes to bring people together. Absorb the stories of people in pain, no matter who they are. Find out what is challenging in their lives, and then fight for them as much as you fight for yourself. And if we do that, you can bring people together because we do have shared common values. And that's why I'm running against President Trump, because he doesn't care. He doesn't care about you and me. He doesn't care about moms and babies at the border. He tears them apart. He frightens the Iowan I talked to just yesterday. That is not the America we know and love. That is not what makes our country great. So we need to own this democracy. We need a direct democracy. We need to open government. We need to take the reins of government. And we need to make sure that our voices are heard. And so this campaign is about us, reaching out to our neighbors, reaching out to the people we love and saying, we have to fight for what's right, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. And that is what we are in right now. That is the moment we are in. And I have never, ever in my life felt more called to do something than to speak the truth about what's happening in America to all of you and to people all across this country, because we have to take our democracy back.
What is your opinion on automatic voter registration and having other states like here in Iowa having nonpartisan commissions for redistricting?
Love it. And we should be doing it in every state. It is the solution. We have to restore voting rights. Voting rights is something we fought so hard for. I mean, for the ladies in the room, we're going to have 100 years of suffrage in 2020. Voting rights are something we fought very hard to achieve. We fought very hard for our civil rights. The civil rights movement marched for a very long time to get basic equal justice in this country. Our voting rights have been subverted by state legislatures across this country, funded by the Koch brothers and other moneyed interests who all they care about is money and greed. It is literally what drives these spheres and systems of power. They just care about money. And do know this, that the love of money is the root of all evil, and that is exactly what is playing out in our democracy today. So, we must restore our voting rights. We must restore our voting rights. Let people register online. Let people vote by mail. Let Election Day be a federal holiday. Let early voting be in every state. All of those reforms will make sure that more people can be heard at the ballot box. I just want to say one thing about one great candidate. Stacey Abrams would have won Georgia. And she fought for every vote, every person, every vote. We should fight for the same. We should be absolutely aligned entirely with people who do not have a basic right to vote because they have legislators and governors who are trying to disenfranchise them. So that is a mission for all of us, because it has to be our democracy in our hands.
Okay, and that's all we have time for.
Okay, that's all we have time for. Thank you all for allowing me to come and chat with you.
I'm a big fan of yours.
I protected her. I gave her my best pencil.
And then you got can we get a family picture?
Yes, of course.
There you go. Thank you.
Never make yourself
It's for me. Tell me your name. Kayla. Kayla. As my mom says the right way. Thank you so much for announcing you've been my #1 choice for a long time.
Well, that means the world to me, and thank you for telling me that.
Thank you so much. You're really here.
I moved to Iowa from New York. I've also been a longtime fan. I look forward to
I'll grab one for you on Grace's
Yeah, I'm not going to go relieve my wife who's watching all 3 of our boys.
Oh, yeah.
So, thank you for being here. Looking forward to seeing you again.
Do you mind grabbing a picture with Grace? Go ahead. Yes. Right. And I'm like, all right. All right. 1, 2, 3. All right, you all look lovely. Thank you, Senator, so much. She's so nice. Yeah, we're so close. Oh, oh my God, I love her. That's your phone. That's not mine. What's your name?
There we go. Thank you.
Make sure. Check.
You want me to get it?
Yeah, he got it. I can
Thank
see
you
it.
very much. I really appreciate it.
Just be careful, okay?
Thank you, lobster.
You don't really want it.
Yeah, it's actually delicious. Yeah, go ahead. I got it for you. Here we go. I got it. Seriously, go.
I'm so happy.
Do you have a camera?
Thank you. Yeah.
Here, we'll take a photo here. Can I see that? I really wanted to ask her about, like, if you need to get these. Thank you for speaking up for all. Here, if you pull up your camera. Thank you for your question. Smart. Great. Awesome. All right. Okay, I need to get in. Go. That was your turn.
Okay, I'll pop over here.
Okay. All right. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Here you go.
Thank you.
You want to take a photo?
I'm the co-founder of March for Our Lives Iowa, and I just want to say thank you for everything you've done to prevent gun violence. Can we get a photo?
I'm coming in. Okay, good. Right now.
Here's the high school.
Middle. Okay. Get us all in.
My daughter is she's a first-time voter in this election. Oh, great. I wanted to ask you what your position is on paid family leave because I am worried about my very smart
I
daughter.
wrote the bill. I'm 100% behind it. I think it should be an earned benefit so everybody can buy in across their lifetime. 0.2% of income, which is about $2 a week.
Okay.
The cost of a cup of coffee a week. You would buy in, your employer would buy in, and it would be there for you for your lifetime for all events, all life events. When she's sick, when you have a new child, or when your parents are sick. So it's for your whole life, men and women, all life events.
Thank you. Can I take a picture with you, please? Could we get a, would you take a photo? Would you take a photo?
You went to Emma? Nice to see you. What year are you? 81. Oh, I just missed. I just got you the last year. Awesome. Nice to see you. Yeah, we overlapped because I was a freshman. I live here. I'm happy to help you. I would love your help, Allison. I will email you.
1, 2, 3.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Do you have any questions? I lost my really tasty grapefruit beer.
Thank you so much for coming.
There you go. Yeah, don't worry about it.
I'll be the camera.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for inspiring like women in politics. I think it's amazing. Like, as a woman like studying politics, it means so much to see you out here speaking up for what you believe in, and like it's just amazing. So thank you so
Keep
much.
fighting. Don't give up.
Thank you so much.
Don't give up. Be heard. Your voice really matters. Now more than ever.
She's on the screen.
Thank you so much for your work on climate. I really appreciate it. And I also want to ask you, as a Midwesterner who cares about the environment, can you take another look at the renewable fuel standard, which has been really bad for our environment in the Midwest?
Okay.
This means a lot to me. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Senator, I want to introduce you.
To assign to all our students.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, well, from time to time, with my students.
Nice to meet you.
Brett, do you have a Sharpie?
Yes.
Thank you, Senator.
Thank you.
Kirsten. Lovely, but I go by Kirsten too.
You do?
Yes.
Tell me it's Kirsten.
No, my English husband says Kirsten, but I say Kirsten.
You do? Well, then
yes.
I do very well. Then
Kirsten,
everyone
are
will
you
always
K-I-R-S-T? Oh, you're like Kirsten Cinema. Yeah. Nice. We got a Kirsten the Senator already. John, yes. Take a picture. Yes, 1 second. Hi, Jill. How are you?
Can you take my picture?
Shoot Kirsten.
Thank you. And I am looking forward to restoring the dignity and integrity of this office and our standing in the world.
I'm just going to go here first. Hope and dream.
You will do it.
She'll just move here really quick. God bless you. Thank you. Senator, can I introduce you to Susan?
Nice to meet you.
Let's take a photo. Okay. Coming in. Coming in. Okay.
I'll see if I can do that.
Do you have that shirt? Yes, I would love one. Thank you. So one photo here. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Yes, 1 second. 1 second. Thank you. I don't mind.
That's good.
It'll be my life for 2 years. Yeah. Okay. 1, 2, 3. There you are. Thank you. God bless you. Yep. There you go. Thank you. I know. Just throw out. I like your flag. Get out of here. Thank you so much. Yes, Laura. Okay, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. There you are. Oh yeah, you can show her. Did you send my Senator? Yeah, take one quick photo here. With the smart man? The smart man who asked about voting rights? Yes, I did.
Well, let's
Yep. Go ahead, smile. Okay, 1, 2, 3. There you are.
Please do.
You're welcome.
Hey, Kirsten, I need to do a photo with this young lady, and then I'm going to send it to Elise.
I'm with you.
Thank you so much.
What's your name?
My name's Mariah.
Do you want it to you?
No, that's fine.
Okay. Mariah, let's get a picture first. Yeah. Get a picture of me and Mariah. Let's smile.
All right.
With the sign. With the sign. Oh,
Got it.
the sign.
All right.
My head was on
Thank you.
C-SPAN, my back's at the inbox.
Can we take one more with the other sign?
Oh, it's the other
I'll do
side.
this, and then you do this one. Reproductive.
Pro-freedom, pro-justice, pro-choice.
Can't argue with that.
Got it.
And that's a great sign. Nice job. I love pro-freedom. It's freedom for us.
Yeah.
Life, liberty, pursuit of happiness.
Yeah, please
Do a
help
sign
us
that says
protect
that.
our reproductive rights,
I'm on
especially
it.
abortion. It would
Don't
be
you
really
worry.
great.
Don't we worry. I'm 100% committed.
Love you. Thank you
Please
for
sign the
coming. Mariah, M.A.
You got about 2,000 more of those at home, don't you? How you doing, Senator?
Thank you for coming.
Thank you. How's Iowa treating you?
So well. Thank you. Do you want a photo?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Are you from Iowa?
Oh, I've been here for a few years in the Drake here in Des Moines.
Oh, nice.
I
Where
was
you
here
from?
Naperville, Illinois. It's kind of a suburb.
Great. I can hear that accent. I know you aren't from here.
My dad's a Yankees fan, though. He's from New York.
Fair enough.
No,
This is a shirt from Raycon that she really likes. Thank you for coming out. I bought a shirt.
Sorry, wrong way.
I absolutely will. Nice to meet you.
Senator, I have to introduce you.
Senator, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. Hey, you mentioned caregiving. I do a lot of work in the aging and people with disabilities space. And we're really concerned here in Iowa and across the nation about our caregiving challenges as it pertains to caring for mom and dad, caring for your
Baby
spouse.
boomers are aging, Alzheimer's is growing. Yes, it's
And you
a
know,
huge issue.
we give this issue absolutely no
I think we
attention.
should pay caregivers, and I really think it should be compensated care.
Well, and then we have the flip side of the issue is the paid workforce is not there to meet the demand for services.
No, so that's why we have to maybe have a national public service bill where people can go into healthcare as a public service,
Absolutely.
excite young people about it early on, and then hope they choose that as their profession.
That's exactly what it is.
I was, and I was like,
I'd love to. I'd love to be part of that. So I'll talk to
can
your
I get
staff.
your,
Yeah.
She would like that.
yes.
I so admire the
And then, Senator, I have to introduce you. Okay, 1 second. I'm graduating from law school and I'm helping with the campaign.
Oh, we love your help. If you give your information, Jess is the campaign manager. Okay, yeah. So, Abby brought you a shirt. She was at Ray Gun earlier.
No, this is the one I was wearing. I thought you might like it, so I might take a photo together. Sure.
You are so nice to me.
I thought you might like it, so. Oh my God. Okay. Wait, let's see back at it. And then we're gonna move to your right.
Go back. I'm trying.
Got it? It's your color.
What's your first name?
Abby.
Abby, thank you.
You're welcome.
This is so thoughtful. I will write you a thank you.
Oh, no,
note.
it's okay.
I'm very grateful. So, Abby at the place.
Sure.
Yeah. You can just send me a text.
Okay.
Can we get a picture of the senator?
Here, I'll give you. You can just.
We were in upstate New York for 5 years, so we know what you're talking about, Ithaca. So we're hoping you can turn Iowa blue.
Oh, that's awesome.
Picture right here. Congressman is right there. Look that way.
Thank you. There's someone you should meet over here too. You guys are just.
I'm Cole. Transcend party and politics, and I think that's incredibly important. It's a remarkable speech, and I think
Is this her beer?
So you have my support, and a bunch of
I was gonna try and get out, but I couldn't.
like we're all very excited.
Yeah.
Have some diversity and excitement.
Yeah, no, you're fine.
Thank you for the
Can
I get a second?
Yeah, I would love to just get on the door. Hold on 1 second, okay?
I love your America Center.
Thank you.
I want to introduce you to this woman. Yes. Abby, thank you. I will be right back. I'm going to love this section.
Patty Judge, I've been for.
Really? I didn't know that. You were talking on the phone.
And we met.
Yes, I remember.
Someplace, I
Thank
know.
you for running. Thank you for trying. You tried so hard. I was so grateful.
You know, I knew all along whatever happened, you always was going to happen.
Yeah, I'll have someone be in touch. Well, hopefully we can.
Yes,
on
with
shoulders.
I've got
the caregivers.
Good speech tonight.
But God bless you. Honestly, Patty, you did something so brave. I'm so grateful that you did.
I'll do it again in a minute because I just like that man so much.
Thank you. Yes.
Get a picture.
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Patty. So good to see you. Thank you for coming out tonight.
You got one of my favorite people.
Sorry, I was like the best.
Rob? Yeah, Rob. Yeah, I know. I'm
Just Kirsten?
That's right.
What's your first name? S-C-O-T-T?
Yes.
Would you take a picture actually? Oh my God, that is so great. People want the selfies, so I don't want to mess up if you like.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we're going to try to get her to get some selfies on this other side of the room, too.
No, the way you could do that is walk around Cedar Walker back here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Scott.
Thank you.
So I can run over to the door.
Yeah, that'd be great. Go ahead.
You were my senator in New York when I lived
Okay,
there.
put together a photo. Okay. You want to give me a cell phone?
3 of us.
Okay. If you could pass me a phone, I can.
Okay, thank you. I'm so excited. And then if you hold out a photo, yeah.
What's your thing to say?
Of course.
Okay. Let me get in the middle.
Oh, okay.
It's all about the parents of girls in our house. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Senator.
Oh, love that. Oh, nice to meet you. I can take a quick photo. Oh, yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Senator.
Oh, someone take a photo.
Oh, okay. Oh, you're coming through.
Oh, yeah, group photo. Yeah. You want to take a group photo?
Okay, go, you go.
Thank you, guys. We're going to head this way.
Really?
I don't know, like if you really like fruit like I do,
Yes, I do.
it makes the beer so much tastier because it's got that little hint of grapefruit in it,
yeah.
which is my favorite drink. I put grapefruit with other items. I won't say now because of all the cameras, but grapefruit's my favorite.
Oh, this way. This is Senator. Thank you for coming all the way to Iowa from New York.
So going this way.
Cyclist. Alicia. A-L-I-S-H-I-A.
Guys, we got to get her to get some more pictures of other folks too. Okay. Senator, we're going to head to the left.
Brian, thank you for coming, Senator Gillibrand.
I'm delighted to be here.
You're the only New Yorker here. I'm the only Kentuckian here.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, nice to meet you. A week after I graduated from college, I suffered a traumatic brain injury.
How are you going to alert help our soldiers coming home with TBI and PTS?
So the truth is we have to fund the research.
Exactly.
We have to make sure they have access to medicines like medical marijuana. We have to make sure that we take their conditions really seriously and give them the support they need. And we have to, after service, make sure veterans don't feel like they will be discriminated against if they seek care. And so we have to really help them.
We do.
God bless you.
I used to live in your backyard. I used to live in PG County, Maryland.
Thank you for your service.
Will you take a picture with me and my, or just me for my, right there?
Go ahead. Thank you so much.
Mind if I get a quick one?
Big and strong. Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Oh my God. Oh. Just like so over to the left. Thank you so much.
Yeah, quick one.
Thank you. Perfect. Thank you so much.
Nice to see you. Okay, so I've loved you since I read your book in 2013.
God bless you. Thank you.
You made me go to grad school. So
Oh,
yeah.
good for you.
So yeah, I'm trying, just.
Well, God bless you.
Thank you.
Sorry,
I'm so sorry.
I'm really
terrible at it.
And then tonight you should head to the left after this photo.
Thank you so much. I'm going to be supporting you.
Admired you for a long time.
Yes.
You're fantastic.
You can really feel the honesty, which is it's a breath of fresh air, truly.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you. Good to see you.
Hi, nice. Thank you for coming. I'm a reporter. What?
I was born in Buffalo.
You were? That's awesome. We love Upstate. What's not to love?
Ashley has a Sharpie. Thank you for coming, Senator. I'm Ryan. Very nice to meet you.
Thank you for turning up tonight.
Yeah, thanks.
So it's a tradition to sign the banner if you want to know all the Polk County Olympic people.
And I have to tell you, Jamie and I both were Kappa Kappa Gammas. There it is.
Oh yeah, you guys are gonna geek out over the sorority.
Oh yeah.
Senator, while you got the pen out, can I get your autograph on a couple of things?
Yes, you got it. You want this on the front or the back?
Perfect, right there.
Where do you want it?
Anywhere. I got a nice collection of these from everybody, both sides.
Nice. In here?
Yeah. Your staff is awesome, by the way. I work a lot with them out of the Manhattan office.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you.
So thank you very much, Senator.
Thank you.
That's your
Is
pen.
that mine?
Joni says hi. Make sure to invite you to the Rainbow Cafe in Red Oak sometime.
Nice.
I'll keep in contact with you to have that done, okay? Take care, Senator.
Can I snap a picture too? Oh, thank you. Also, I'm with the local Planned Parenthood affiliate in public affairs, so
Sorry all the tax you've had to endure in the state.
it's been a lot. It's been a lot. So
Thank
if you
for
need
standing up for women, and thank you for not giving up.
Yes, so, and same. But if you need anything or, want any more information, don't be afraid to reach out to us. The folks around you know how to get a hold of us, or locally in the area. So, thanks. Yes.
A couple of minutes. Johanna, you ready to go? Yeah. Okay. We'll go out now.
That's awesome. Can I spell your name?
Johanna.
How old are you?
I'm 14.
That's awesome. What grade are you in?
I'm a freshman.
Wow. Yes. You're young for your age. My Theo is a freshman in high school too.
Awesome.
So when he comes to the campaign trail, you have to find me so I can introduce you to him.
I have my credit card back.
What do you think about your school?
I don't know how to close up.
I think it's pretty good.
Have you visited the public school?
Yeah, I go to public school.
Wait,
Knoxville.
Nice. And what is your favorite topic, subject, thing to do?
Music, probably.
That's great. Are you a singer or a musician?
Both.
Nice. Yeah. So my son Theo is very good at piano, and he actually has a great singing voice, but he's very shy. And so he signed up for the 6th grade musical, and then he signed up for the 8th grade Shakespeare play. And he had 3 songs in all of them. He was the Artful Dodger, and we didn't know he could sing. And so we go to the play, and all of a sudden he belts out all these songs, and we're like, oh my God.
I've done that musical.
It's a good one. What role were you?
I was like one of the, I forget what they're even called. I was just like kind of a side character.
Part of the chorus?
Yeah. But, yeah.
You had some lines, and you're part of the chorus. So keep up your music.
Yeah.
It's really good for you.
Can I get a picture too?
Yes.
I can help you with that. Okay. Okay.
Joanna wants a picture.
Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3.
Did you come here by yourself, or you got
No, my dad. He's over there.
Okay, he's way out. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Having a great book.
I can grab the Sharpie and I'll introduce you.
Hey, thanks for coming to Iowa. I'm Davis.
Hi, Davis.
This is my buddy Charles.
Well, medical students.
You are caring about people.
Well, sure, it is great to do that. We did have a concern about student debt, and we're wondering what you might want to do.
So the first thing I would do is all federal debt, I would refinance at the Fed window rate, which would be 4% right now.
It's way better than
So
what we're doing.
that would help you enormously because it would vitiate a lot of your debt. It would also put $15 billion back into the economy. I also think we should offer, and this is a bigger idea, but tuition relief if you go into some measure of public service.
Yeah.
So like if you were willing, let's just say, to serve a year in a special at-risk place somewhere where your talents were desperately needed, you'd get your tuition vitiated for 2 years. If you were willing to serve for 2 years, you'd get your tuition vitiated for 4 years. Like I think if you can tell the American people that public service is important and helping others is important, you should get your education paid for.
I think we're both hoping for something like that.
I think it would make a huge difference, don't you think?
Yeah, I mean, it influences our decisions as students about what specialty we want to go into.
Because either you have to make enough money to pay back your debt, or you serve the population that your heart really wants to serve.
And we're both interested in psychiatry, and it's like, we are passionate about that.
You know, I've heard in Iowa from a lot of teachers that mental health is a huge issue. The biggest issue, and we have such a lack of not only practitioners.
There's exciting things going on in that to combat that.
So for example, let's just say we actually passed a bill that said this, and you dedicated 2 to 4 years in our public schools on mental health, you get your tuition paid for. Like that would make a huge difference, right?
Oh yeah, of course.
I think it would spur really interesting outcomes and good ones. I think it's a good idea. I'm just beginning to talk about it, but I've always wanted to accomplish that. Just increase public service.
Senator, sorry to interrupt.
Thank you. Thank you for serving
thanks a bunch.
Thank you very much.
I'd love to introduce you to Peter. He helped us with the t-shirts earlier. He's been helping Laura coordinate. Let me take a look.
Senator, I'm Bob Powell, Senator of Veterans. We do a lot of work with military sexual trauma, and you are our star. We modeled the bill in the Iowa legislature after what you did, and we got it passed in 2014. Love to have a charitable fundraiser with you.
I've got to talk to you.
Okay.
So let's take a photo. All right. The light's bad.
Thank you.
Here, go back here. Yeah, she's good at it. Okay, that's better. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Do you want to be in it?
I guess so.
Here, this side. Now you get yours. Who's got your camera? Where's your camera?
He's
that man's got it. Go ahead.
He's taking it.
All right, we'll take one here. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, there you go.
Okay, super. Thank you, Senator. I've followed you for several years. I think you do a great job.
For your service. Okay, boys. I've got you, boys. All right, you ready?
Okay, we'll take
Thank you.
one camera. I'll take it.
All students, come on in.
Everybody go in.
Yes, we're ready. Yeah.
How long do you study in China? How long?
3个月。
3个月，哇！
1, 2, 3.
Yay! There you go.
Well, thank you.
Senator, I need you.
Thank you, Senator. Thank you so much, Senator. Come back. Come back.
Oh, sure. Nice hat.
Where do you want to hear? Is your name, sir?
Yeah.
Kevin.
Oh, my name is Ben.
That's just my signature. There you go.
So I'd love for you to take a photo with Kevin.
Senator, thank you very
Kevin.
much for coming to Iowa. I wish you the best.
Thank you for coming into this event.
Do you mind if I have a picture with you?
Yes, of course. 1, 2, 3. And then it just, the lighting's a little bit better this way. 1, 2, 3. There you are, sir. Thank you for turning up.
Thank you for coming.
I'm a big fan. Thank you so much for coming. My friend Kathy. She's a lawyer. She's harmless.
She's a lawyer and a photographer.
Yes.
Hi, Kathy.
Very nice to meet you. Very inspiring. Yeah. Looking forward to seeing you more in the caucuses.
You will see me. All
I
summer
think
long.
so. I think we will.
We're there. Thank you for standing up against sexual assault.
We have to. One more time. She wants one more picture.
Thank you.
So, Senator, we have to head out soon. Did you want to try?
How are you?
Are you having any fun yet?
Yeah.
Did you try the beer? We have a few people at the bar. Did you try the grapefruit? I know these guys. I know, but did you try the grapefruit?
I actually did try the grapefruit.
It's really good. So my favorite mixed drink is grapefruit with vodka.
Oh,
and so,
that's a good tip.
when I got the grapefruit, I was like, yum. I've loved it. I've had a great time. I've learned a lot. I talked to a lot of people about what they care about, and some of the issues are the exact same, but there's some that are, I think, a little unique that I've not heard in New York. For example, mental health is a huge issue in schools, which I didn't realize, and that might be in my state too, but I hadn't heard it yet, so I didn't know about that. But a lot of the economic issues are the same. I think you've got a really tough legislature and governor here. So, well, I'm talking as if you're an Iowan, sorry. I think Iowans have a really tough legislature and governor here. And so the way they've undermined unions and collective bargaining and the ability to organize is really rough. So I think workers are having a real challenge.
When are you coming back?
Soon. Very soon. Yeah, I'm going to go there.
Okay.
2 weekends.
2 weekends?
I think.
To the bar.
Here, can I get a photo right here? Yeah.
She's ready.
All right.
I am supporting you, so I'm excited. I'm glad you're in Iowa. So keep in touch, right? I'll keep in touch with your staff.
Thank you. Please.
All righty.
Let's see. Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Yeah.
Thank you. I got the Gillibrand shirt. What's not to love?
All right.
Okay. With your hoodie.
Oh, take the hoodie off. Oh, man.
Take your hat off.
Okay, get up.
Sit up straight. You sit up straight.
Okay.
Sit up straight. Sit
Okay.
up straight.
She's gonna
All
pose
right.
you. Thank you.
All right. We'll get that.
Thanks for your question.
You want to be both in it? You want both to be in it? Sure. Yeah, great, great.
You had a very good answer.
Well, your question was
Get your phones ready. Ready. This way. Ready. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. All right. Thank you. You want both to be in it? You want both to be in it, right?
Take a okay. Yes. Just us. She wants just us.
All right.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you.
There you go. Got it. Oh, thank you.
Okay. Thanks for seeing
You hear like the different words?
Had a great event, an amazing brewery. I tried the grapefruit beer. I know that sounds strange. It was delicious.
And your speech was amazing. Thank you so much.
Well, good questions. The folks here in Iowa are very invested in their democracy. They care deeply. They had really good questions about what the future could look like. And I feel really lucky to be here.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Would you mind if we got a picture with you? Of course. Who has the camera? Oh, you do. Oh, perfect. Camera's here. Thank you. Very nice to meet you.
Sure.
So like your first thing was like
Nice to meet you.
So it was like so amazing. It made me like cry.
You matter, and everybody matters.
It was amazing. Thank you so much.
And
You're
think
amazing.
The people who dismiss you and don't defend you and don't protect you are wrong. Morally wrong.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Photo right over here. Thank you.
Right over here.
And then you're ready. Yes, sir.
We got another hat. Congratulations.
Great. We're talking about these kids, the young professionals who are ambitious and working our way up.
Just like I did. I didn't have kids till 33. Yeah. So I got 34. I got married later. I got married at 33.
Pushing 40, and
I was young and single for a long time.
I was changing. So
It's changed.
yep.
And all of you.
I've been waiting for you for 10 years, so watching you.
It took me a long time to build the courage to do it. It's not a small thing.
And the Art Sidelines Initiative, fabulous. I hope that more people in Iowa will take advantage of that. That was a big thing when I was at Fordham in New York. A bunch of us joined your first year, 2011 or 12 or something. So
Thanks,
yeah.
2010. Thank you.
Yeah. I wanted to ask, and at some point I will, because you'll be visiting us a lot in the future here, but student loan debt. Do you have anything to say about that?
Yeah, so I would let everybody refinance at the Fed window rate, which is the rate that banks get.
Yep.
So 4% immediately, automatically, all federal debt. That's most student debt. That's change one. That's $15 million back into the economy. But I would also make it, lastly, I would make it more affordable to go to college. I think there's a lot of training that people could get that could be free or near free, and there's a lot of opportunity.
At that level, that's what's going to resonate here in Iowa. There are those of us who have moved back to care for
The other
older.
thing I would do is if you do certain, well, I would compensate care. So if you move back to care for somebody, I would actually compensate that, and it'd be part of a full employment agenda where you actually take
That is awesome for Iowa.
underemployed or unemployed people who are doing care full time and create an opportunity to be compensated for that.
Yeah.
Because honestly, you're working every day. I would also work on better job training for people who are underemployed and unemployed direct into jobs. So getting the community colleges, state schools, and apprenticeship programs and not-for-profits to do the coursework for the job that's available in your area.
Yeah,
That absolutely.
awesome. Thank you so much.
Nice to meet you. I did not realize that.
Thank you. Yeah. Thanks, Dad.
And also,
Got it? Thank you. I'm 26. I have my associate's degree. I'm working full-time at a jewelry store, but I want to get back in school.
What do you want to do?
I'm interested in neuroscience. So
healthcare?
So the brain would be good. I'm really interested in environmental. I'm really about tigers and tiger conservation, and we're about to lose them in the next 10 years in the wild. But also abortion is very close to me and my friends.
In brain science, you should think about pharmacology.
I'm afraid of pharmaceuticals.
What about medical marijuana?
That's great. Yeah, I'm all for that.
It's a growing industry.
I'm glad you're
You
about
might
it.
be able to help patients that desperately need because it affects the brain. And so if that's what you're interested in, you should research that because it helps vets with PTSD. It helps children with Dravet syndrome and other disorders. So that might be something you could work on.
It would be great. Yeah, thank you.
Bye. Thank you for bringing your daughters.
Nice talk. I loved it.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. All right, boss.
Ashley is the vice chair of the Polk County Democrats. Thank you, Senator. Thank you.
Oh, yes, that's it. And then we're going to go out this door.
Do you mind if we grab a quick selfie for my mom? I love it. Okay.
Let me take a photo.
My mom lives for my selfies. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you. Bye.